Women exist, guys. Did you know that? Did you know that just women are like a part of the world? And why would they not be a part of Star Wars? Really, like, doesn't feel like it should be that hard, right? But I feel like a lot of these hot Star Wars takes are coming from a place of misogyny, sexist racism, all of that. They just want the attention. Good thing no one's giving it to them. I'm going to start this with just a little bit of a warning. There will be just a little bit of spoiler talk tonight. Not a lot. Spoilers for Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2, I would say. However, they're not super plot points, but it is very relevant that I talk about this for the topic we're about to talk about. It is about 2 specific characters within the show. If you want to know nothing about Obi-Wan, I understand. 1. So this is kind of, there's 3 episodes. 1 just came out this week. I won't be talking about that one at all. But just 1 and 2, because of 2 of the characters that are in it that we're going to talk about tonight. So there's your spoiler warning if you need it. Okay. I don't know how long you all have been a part of the Star Wars community, or in the Star Wars zeitgeist, I guess you'd say, but I've been in it my entire life. And I've seen very distinct waves and changes in the Star Wars fan base. And there's been something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And I talk about it a little bit on stream. Some of the clips you've seen have been like, the one where I'm talking to Rob Bob the Corn Cob about how like Star Wars is not that woke. It's really not.
It's the fandom that ruins it.
I mean, I'm right there with you with like Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and I cannot stand the Star Wars fan base 90% of the time. I can't stand it. Like, it almost doesn't make me want to be a Star Wars fan, because it just, you can't even just say that, like, you know, the Disney ones weren't that bad, guys. They're like, oh, we're so woke. They weren't that woke. It's because there was a woman character that was the lead. That's what you're mad about. That's not woke. That's just women exist. Like, it's okay.
Gasp.
Gasp. Yeah, it's like they didn't even try to be that woke. It was Disney, for crying out loud, you know? Anyway. So I talk a little bit about it, but tonight I really want to talk about, trying to think of how I want to put this. I really want to talk about the toxicity in the Star Wars fan base, because it's pretty brutal, guys. And I had hoped that we were kind of moving beyond that a little bit, but we're not. So we're going to talk a little bit about like the ebbs and flows of some of the films, and some of the eras of Star Wars. And then we're going to look at a couple of things that have happened just recently, and that's where we get into spoiler talk with Obi-Wan. F the fan base, right? I mean, yes. So there's a couple things that are giving me hope about the fan base that we'll talk about. Growing up, the only Star Wars we had up until 2000, was it 90? No, 99, I think, when Phantom Menace came out. The original trilogy, right? Then you have the trilogy, the prequel. I have to keep them all straight in my mind now. You have the prequel trilogy come out. And that's where things started getting a little bit weird. Obviously, you all know I'm not like the biggest prequel fan. I'm not super into it. However, the older I get, the more I kind of appreciate the prequels a little bit. I still think episode 2 is the worst Star Wars film ever, and you cannot change my mind on that, so don't even try. But obviously none of them are perfect films, right? But now that those kids have started growing up with those films, you're starting to see people like of adult age who are like, these are my films. This is what I grew up with on Star Wars. And I am that to an extent, but I had a lot of influence from my older brothers with the original trilogy. So what started happening with episode 1 was people, of course, some of the older people, some of the people who had grown up with the original Star Wars, feeling like it was a little too kiddie, feeling like Jar Jar Binks was a bit much, which he is a bit much sometimes. But, you know, just feeling like the film maybe wasn't made for them, right? They didn't like the way that it was very political. And I mean, like, you know, the Senate scenes and trade route disputes and all that kind of stuff. They didn't like Jake Lloyd as an actor, Jake Lloyd as Anakin, and Ahmed I'm probably butchering the name, Ahmed Best.
Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best.
As Jar Jar. And those two people experienced like some of the worst like harassment and bullying I think I've ever seen. I think that's where it really started, where the toxicity of the fan base really started poking its head out. And while I've never been an open fan of like Jar Jar Binks, I think he's a little ridiculous. What I think is more ridiculous is treating the actor in a way that causes them harm. That's, you don't like the character, that's one thing, but literally bullying the person is weird. So that is really where a lot of this stemmed from. And I remember an interview with Ahmed Best. I should have tried to find it for this, but this isn't the real focus of the whole conversation. But he was suicidal about it after a while. I don't care if you don't like the character, that's fine. But going after the actor is just not okay. Fast forward to the sequels, and I really think that's kind of where things went really, really, really bad. Even from the first trailer for The Force Awakens, Kay remembers this because we watched that trailer a lot, with a, heaven forbid, a black man in stormtrooper armor. They already started in, you can't do that. That's, stormtroopers weren't black. They weren't this. And then, of course, heaven forbid, the main character being a woman, that then, misogyny now gets into it as well. So really around Force Awakens, really where it hits is The Last Jedi, because people were really mad for some reason about Luke's story arc in that movie, even though it is very similar to an Obi-Wan Kenobi story arc, and it doesn't seem like they mind that. They're pretty similar. It's almost like it's a pattern, like it's poetry, like it rhymes, So, I just think it's kind of snowballed from there. I think it was bad with the prequels. I think it might be worse with the sequels, because there's just a lot of misogyny and a lot of sexism and racism and pretty much all the isms you can find. And it breeds this community of, there's a lot of YouTube channels. It just breeds a community of people who are just like, they've ruined Star Wars. It's horrible. They've made Star Wars too woke. All because there's like women and people that aren't white in it, and that doesn't, in a movie that has like blue and green aliens, I don't know why we're worried about that. Yes, definitely anti-establishment. There's definitely some anti-establishment stuff in there too, but that's really funny and interesting to me, where it all kind of meets together. And that's really why I'm talking about this as a whole, because it is about Star Wars at the end of the day, but it's also just about like, I think we see a big cultural shift, especially around the time of like the sequels, where people are just getting like really out and out about being racist and misogynist and all that kind of stuff. Good night. It's just this weird like toxic community, and for a while I have tried to sort of brand myself as what I'm calling right now just a non-toxic Star Wars fan, like just someone who, like, it doesn't mean that I think everything Star Wars does is perfect, and you don't have to believe that either. It doesn't mean that you have to believe that Disney is perfect and infallible. You don't have to believe that Kathleen Kennedy can't do no wrong, even though she's a very accomplished producer. It doesn't mean all that. What it just means is like, just don't be racist. Like, it's really like doesn't feel like it should be that hard, right? But I feel like a lot of these hot Star Wars takes are coming from a place of misogyny, sexist racism, all of that. So what I'm going to look at tonight is, recently, because of Obi-Wan, this whole thing has kind of been thrust back into the public conscience right now, because there is a black woman who is a powerful character, who is not like the lead, but in a lead role in it. So that automatically brings some ire. And also there's a little girl too. So we're kind of coming full circle. I just want to call out some of these, and I'm going to do a little segment called Good Star Wars Takes. That's what I'm going to call it right now. But I'm hoping that maybe if more of us talk about this kind of stuff and let people know that it's not okay to treat people this way, that maybe the fan base itself on a whole, as an aggregate, maybe we'll all get to a place where it'll be much better. Anyway, so the first thing I want to look at, we're gonna listen to one of the best Star Wars takes, I think. We're gonna look at one of the best Star Wars takes out there right now, from the one and only Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am gonna show you some TikToks, okay? Because I feel like, thank you for the bits. I feel like the best talks right now and the best takes on Star Wars are happening on TikTok. I understand TikTok was a dancing app, but my algorithm is so nice and tuned now that I get to see really good Star Wars takes from a number of different people. So I've collected a couple of those. So we're going to look through a couple of these and we're going to talk about it as we go. And I hope you can kind of see that there is hope. I think there are some pretty toxic fans, but there's also a lot of people out here like myself who are just really tired of that. And you can criticize the movies, you can not like them, you can do all that, but you just can't be. You can't be like some of the people we're going to see here. So here, we're going to start with this one first. Let me turn the music down a little bit and turn him up because we need to hear our king here. Let's do it.
It's made Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, here, let me rewind.
Star Wars fans made Obi-Wan Kenobi the most watched Disney Plus original series premiere of all time. And for that, I would say a big thank you. And it just goes to show what this family can do when we all pull together. However, it seems that some of the fan base, influential fan base, have decided to attack Moses Ingram online and send her the most horrendous racist DMs. And I heard some of them this morning and it just broke my heart. Moses is a brilliant actor. She's a brilliant woman. And she's absolutely amazing in this series. She brings so much to the series. She brings so much to the franchise. And it just sickened me to my stomach to hear that this had been happening. I just want to say, as the leading actor in the series, as the executive producer on the series, that we stand with Moses. We love Moses. And if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There's no place for racism in this world. And I totally stand with Moses.
Really good. Every time I watch this, I see this pain in his eyes. And I think there's a good reason for that. They talked a little bit about this at Star Wars Celebration, which if you haven't seen some of the interviews from Celebration, I'd play some, but I think Disney is pretty litigious about that, so I don't know what would happen if I do that. But basically, you know, Ewan McGregor was talking about how when they made the prequels, they weren't really super well received by the hardcore fan base, and they experienced a lot of kind of kickback. And as a result of that, I don't think he ever really thought that he would continue to do Star Wars after that. And him and Hayden were both so happy that, like, wow, the people who grew up watching this are now wanting more of it and appreciating it. And for the first time for the prequels, they're actually getting the appreciation that they didn't get when it first came out because of people like that. Okay, what's your question? Disney will snipe you. I think so. When they came out with the Inquisitors, whenever that wasn't Reva portrayed as a black woman from the beginning? No, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not up on my lore, Reva is she's a new Inquisitor. I don't think that she existed before. We could check on that real quick. Let's go check the wiki real quick. So this is where we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers, okay? I'm going to try not to spoil too much, but we are talking about Obi-Wan right now. So if you need to dip, I completely understand. She is the third sister. Let's see. I'm trying. Since episode 3 is out, I don't think I'll see any like spoilers, but interesting. Okay, yeah. So the other than Fallen Order, the only other place you've seen Inquisitors, list of Inquisitors. was in Star Wars Rebels. There are 11 Inquisitors total. Let's see. There's that one. Fifth brother, some sister. Yeah, no. But I mean, there's one that's a green alien.
It's Chuck Norris's water.
You know,
it's a roundhouse kick of hydration.
The ninth sister has those like horns coming out and kind of has like a brownish skin. There's one that's all red. And a female. So there were female Inquisitors before. Again, there isn't anything in here that like would cause anybody pause, like, at all. It doesn't make any sense. It really has to come down to, well, one, you know, maybe they don't like the way her character is written. Fine, that's legitimate. That's fine. If that's what you think, whatever. But I can't help but feel like there's two other factors at play here. And that everybody feels like it's like a diversity hire or something, you know? You should totally make some Obi-Wan fan art. Have I heard from Force, whatever they're called, C-Force? I have not heard from C-Force. I checked today. Nothing. Another day. I keep on telling myself I'll make a counter for that, but I haven't yet. Anyway, so when I look at Ewan McGregor and what he's like, so he finally is like, wow, I like this thing that I put a lot of time and effort into years ago is kind of like paying itself off. And he's in this new show and everyone's excited for it. And people at Celebration were just going bonkers the second he comes out. And he even announced that he was going to be back at Celebration next year because he loved it so much. And it just like, as much as like the prequels aren't my favorite, it just made me feel really good that like they're feeling really good about it, you know? Like it's weird, but it's just like, okay, you know, that's cool. I like that. And so then to see him like then after the show starts coming out and seeing all this racist and sexist stuff and misogynistic stuff about her. I think I might have a TikTok that shows what some of those messages are, but they're pretty brutal. I don't know if I can show them. Lots of the N-word. And other slurs like that. They're pretty bad. The part I don't get, but I do because people are just effing stupid, but these are the same people that when you make a female James Bond or a female Doctor Who, they say, if you want to see people you want, then make your own characters. But then when you do, they still get mad. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they recast someone who wasn't already a female. You know, it's not like they tried to swap anything over. It's just women exist, guys. Did you know that? Did you know that just women are like a part of the world? And why would they not be a part of Star Wars? It doesn't make any sense. And why would they not be anything but like a damsel in distress? I think that's really the key. Is that's how they want to see women. That they're just there to be saved, you know, by the strong man, and that's just stupid. They just want the attention. Good thing no one's giving it to them. I mean, I'm not naming him, but yeah. Okay, so that's Ewan McGregor. There's a couple of people on TikTok that I think are pretty great. I feel like it's more important also to hear from other creators as well. Let's watch this one. Let me rewind that.
This is for Star Wars fans, Star Wars TikTok. If you're not into Star Wars, you can stay, but this isn't really for you. Star Wars fans, we need to purge the racists from the fandom. Also the misogynists. For some reason, we just accepted that a large percentage of Star Wars fans can be racist and misogynist. You know the ones who hate the Finn for black man. Or the ones who say Rey is a badly written character because she's a Mary Sue or overpowered. Or the ones who harass Kelly Marie Tran for playing Rose so much that she basically quit the internet. And now y'all are doing the same thing to Moses Ingram. She recently went on her Instagram story to talk.
Yeah, this is where I gotta go through these. Okay, I just don't want to show. I mean, look at this. Your days are numbered. I just don't want to show the ones with, you know, the actual like horrible I mean, this is pretty horrible. But yeah, like these are things that people have sent directly
this
to her.
should not be acceptable. She is literally an actor just doing her job. She is playing a role in this large franchise that we all love. But just because you're a fan, that doesn't give you the right to harass people. So to the Star Wars fans who don't do this, thank you, and please call out the racists. And to the racist Star Wars fans, you can fuck off into a black hole. Because fandom should be a place where we all come together to love something together. Not spread hate and not harass people. Is that understood? Good. Glad we cleared that up.
So what I've been doing on TikTok lately is just following people like this and interacting with these types of videos so that I can get on the good side of the Star Wars fan base, and I think it's working. I really think it's working. Yeah, I mean, they can't spell, they're illiterate, and they're punks. But the problem is like, yeah, those people are the extreme, right? The people literally sending death threats are the extreme. But even like the people who are just a little bit that way, we need to make sure that they also know that that's not acceptable. Even somebody who's just like, ugh, they just put her in because they wanted a black woman in it. And it's like, or just, you know, black women also exist and they deserve to be seen as much as anybody else does as well. That's not too crazy, you know? And we haven't even seen her story completely come around yet, right? We haven't seen, I know that there's probably going to be a history there that we're going to learn about, and a lot of things are going to make sense. And again, it's not about just like falling in line and loving everything that Disney and Star Wars does. That's not what it's about. If you don't like it, that's fine. What it's about is the reasons why you don't like it. And we need to be able to call those out more.
So the Star Wars fan base is at it again. Haven't showered yet, still having my morning coffee, and I was sitting there watching the next season of Stranger Things. I was enjoying myself.
No Stranger
But then
Things
I was
spoilers.
reading some of the comments relating to Kenobi, and some of y'all have no fucking shame. Okay, so I'll start by throwing that spoiler warning up. So if you haven't seen Kenobi episodes 1 and 2...
Here's a spoiler too.
Dip out for a second. Now, let's talk some of the criticism I've been hearing. First, a lot of people are upset that Kenobi is basically turned into Luke from episode 8. But here's the thing. It 100% makes sense. This man's probably suffering from PTSD and so much guilt. So 100%, he's not going to be the optimistic, hopeful creature that we see in episode 4. At least not yet. Which is probably going to be his arc. So, what are y'all complaining about? Secondly, and much more importantly, I am seeing people tear into both the third sister and little Leia. Let's start with the third sister. She's been in for 2 episodes. 2 episodes. And people are like, I don't like her. Why? Because she's got ambition. She's got an obsession. She's got a way that she wants to prove herself to the Emperor and to Lord Vader. Boo fucking who? She's a dark
Ambition
side
is
user.
the key.
Not all of them
Ambition.
are going to be completely up to code and follow every exact order. I'll give you that she doesn't stick out as memorably great. I still think one of the best Inquisitors is the second sister from Jedi Fallen Order.
That's a good
one.
one.
But give her time.
Yeah.
But now, let's talk Leia. First of all, do you remember the potential danger that can happen when you harass a Star Wars child actor, i.e. Jake Lloyd? So yeah, maybe give her a little bit of grace, but hey, that's beside the point.
Poor Jake Lloyd.
Really annoying. She's 10 years old. You were probably an annoying little shit too at that age.
You probably
I could
still
tell
are.
by some of your comments.
Yeah, there
and
you
it
go.
100% lines up with that little spark inside her that's going to lead her to being a great, well, leader. How did she run away from 3 bounty hunters? She's super spry, and they were trying to take her alive, and she was, like, ducking under trees and such. Also, the guy who played the main bounty hunter was Needles from Back to the Future. They're probably not very bright. I honestly thought the Book of Boba Fett was going to be the worst of the Star Wars criticism that was completely unjust. Well, except maybe the sequels, but I'm still on that train of I don't think they're very good movies. But this is probably going to be one of the most introspective and brilliant Star Wars stories to ever come out, and people are already tearing into it. And it irritates me. We were demanding this show for years, and now it's finally here. Let's give it time. Seriously.
I feel bad for the Star Wars kids too, Clumsy. I do. Why are they acting like it's not the same people that bully Jake Lloyd? It might be. It might be. Yeah. I also think there's a whole new generation of people who have been radicalized on the internet and listen to all these hot Star Wars takes, all these bad Star Wars takes, which is why I'm trying to overcome that with good Star Wars takes here. And that's why I'm actively searching those things out. Of course, they remember that can happen. That's what they want to happen. Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of part of the spoiler I was going to get into, is that little Leia is probably one of the best castings I've seen in Star Wars in a very long time. Sorry, not sorry. Although I have to say I'm a little upset at Kathleen Kennedy because she lied to us. Not for the reasons most people are. But she said, we're not, after the disaster that was Solo, a Star Wars story, which, sorry, Solo, I will die on this hill. Solo, a Star Wars story is good. It's good. Alden Ehrenreich is good as Han Solo. It's good. But she said after that, we're not going to be recasting any of those characters. And then, of course, she turns around and recasts the characters. But I guess she's getting around that by saying that, like, oh, it's because they're so young. But anyway, little Leia is perfect. Might be perfect. I didn't even find her that annoying, honestly, other than like what I think Leia would be like as a kid, right? Like, and it just fit. It worked. I don't know how they found her. I don't know how they coached her, but it just worked. It was the most believable casting I've seen in a long time. So to think that people are just going to destroy this little girl because she had the gall to be a part of Star Wars is just... And the same thing with Reva too. You know, just she had the gall to be a part of something that they like, and now they just want to trash it. It's just sad, you know? It's just really sad. But not giving it time to play out, that's a good point as well. Just not, you know, not giving it time to breathe. Let the series play out and then do your hot takes, you know. I don't like kids that much, and even I didn't find her that annoying. I didn't find her annoying at all. I found her very believable as a kid. I mean, as annoying as kids can be, coming from a father, kids can be annoying. But, you know, you don't hate them, you know. I just can't think of anything better for a little Leia to be doing than, like, you know, sneaking out to go on an adventure and look up at the stars and dream about leaving and doing you know, like, it makes so much sense. And being sassy and being quick-witted and thinking on her feet. It just might be perfect casting, honestly. It might be. I think the reason that people do this is because of this, not this specifically, but because of people's reactions to it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, there is a Star Wars hate content machine out there. There's a lot of people who think that if they have a hot take, there's going to be other people who are like-minded who will also jump on board that with them and also have hot Star Wars takes. So yeah, there's a content machine for sure. I think there's some truth to that. What would happen if the actual Star Wars fans just ignored these people and let them sit in the dark corner of the internet? Like, stop giving these people the time of day? I mean, you could say that about anything, right? You could just be like, there is a school of thought that says ignore the trolls. You can try that, but I also think it's also legitimate. And you'll notice, like, I'm not calling out specific people right now. I actually could. There's one creator who's pretty big, who I think has some of the worst Star Wars takes ever, like pretty much ever. I'm usually on the other side of what this guy thinks, almost like 9 times out of 10. Excuse me. I'm usually on the other side, but I'm not naming him specifically because I don't think he needs the clout. He's already pretty big. He's already pretty big on YouTube. You probably know who I'm talking about, but that's why amplifying the people who are giving good Star Wars takes is what we're doing here today. And here's a great Star Wars take, okay? This one's excellent. And this has been a thought that I had earlier where I talked about
water. It's a roundhouse kick of hydration.
He doesn't deserve the Juan-Luc Picard clout. True. You don't have to fall in line with everything. You don't have to like everything. Even if you don't like the Inquisitor Reva. You don't have to. Like, that's not the point. This says it better, I think, than I can. So let's listen to him. Inquisitor Acula is his name.
Tag all of those that are critiquing, and we know which ones I'm talking about. I want to see if they can ID the difference. Hey, Inquisitor and Kula, man, I watched Kenobi, and I kind of had some gripes about the third sister. Some of her dialogue just kind of seemed out of place, like the tone. It didn't really fit the scene well. And that parkour scene she had, it was a little clunky. Also, man, like, how does she even know who Anakin is anyway? Akula, did you see that dumpster fire on Kenobi?
So that was the first. That was the first one. See if you can spot the difference between that and this one. I just want to make a good distinction between the two here.
Akula, did you see that dumpster fire on Kenobi? No, man, I'm talking about the third sister. What the fuck was that about? She just has social justice written all over. It's like Kathleen Kennedy all over again. Like, no, like, in all seriousness, you know they only hired her because she's black. Like, the world is calling for black women to be in the role and black women to be in the lead, and that's what Disney did. They caved, man. No, man, seriously, man, she was absolutely terrible. She was obsessive. She was power hungry. She was over the top. I didn't like it. I just couldn't see that. How does she even know who Vader is anyway? All of this just screams Disney ridiculousness. Man, pre-Disney characters were never like this. There was never any backlash for black characters pre-Disney. Look, they're targeting all of their fans by saying that they were going to say racial things. No, come on, man, don't do that. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with her race. They put her there because she's a black.
I love how he cuts that off. Has nothing to do with her race. They put her there because she was black. I love that. This is great. This is what I was trying to say earlier, where it's like you don't have to fall in line with everything. I also think Clumsy. Clumsy is our parkour master, and as a parkour master, I'm very qualified to say that was kind of clunky. It was a little out of place. Felt a little odd. Felt like she could have gotten to where she needed to. It felt a little bit like, you remember the guy in Book of Boba Fett, the cyborg guy who just all of a sudden did this little spin and shot somebody, and he just like didn't need to at all. It kind of felt like that. So yeah, you can totally have an opinion where it's like, I don't really like her as a character. I think the dialogue is weird. I think the parkour is clunky, and those are all valid criticisms. Then, if all your criticism starts with she's just a social justice hire, they're trying to meet a quota, and I especially love the part where it's like, people just want to see minorities cast, and it's like, yeah, and that's bad. Like, why would that be bad? But these are exactly the kind of takes that you hear, and seeing the difference between what I would consider a good Star Wars take and a bad Star Wars take is exactly what Acula here was talking about. You can tell when you've been in the fan base enough, you can totally tell when somebody kind of crosses a line into some spicy stuff, I found some of the jumps kind of goofy. They were kind of goofy. And see, you can say that. You can be critical of it, and that's completely fine. Of course, people would want to see someone like themselves in media that they enjoy. Yeah, and like I would like to see people like that, because I feel like we get the same cookie cutter characters over and over and over, the same archetypes, the same stories, but now you can bring a different story with a different type of character and a different way of acting. She has her own acting style that nobody else also has. So it's like, it expands the universe. It expands the things that we can do. I don't know why it's considered crazy. I don't know. Let's do one more, because I like Austin. Your pal Austin, if you guys aren't following him on TikTok, he has a good take here as well. I don't think he would be considered a huge Star Wars fan, right? Probably a casual Star Wars fan from what I know about him, but he's pretty big on TikTok. And I thought this take qualified as a good Star Wars take.
Oh, I just watched the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and it's so much fun. He got a lightsaber and beard, and if a black lady in the show is making you really upset, it's only because you're a bad person, okay? It's not because of another reason. It's just because of that, because you're a real bad person, and racist is what that means, okay? It's a space show. There's purple people and green people, and if a black person in the show makes you really mad, it's only because you're one of the worst people that we have in society. That's just what that means. If Cynthia Erivo playing a fictional blue fairy makes you really upset, but you're totally cool with Tom Hanks playing an Italian toy maker, even though he's not Italian, it's just because you're racist and bad, and you have a bad heart. Okay? That's what that means. All right. Star Wars!
Star Wars. I knew you would like that, Kay. I knew you would like him. I feel like he fits your style of like delivering a good message, but with like good humor too, you know, and kind of trashing on people, but with good humor, you know. People were literally freak out over Black Women, but before they even mentioned the giant ass elephant dude in the background, yeah, playing that piano, right? Like, and they're just like, "No, this is great. Everything's fine here. Everything is just great here." So, I brought to you a couple of my favorite Star Wars takes, good Star Wars takes tonight. I hope you enjoyed them. This might be a recurring segment. If you see something, it doesn't have to be on TikTok, but if you see something that you feel like is a good Star Wars take, and again, I'm not talking about just saying everything in Star Wars is amazing and I love it and it can do no wrong, but just good, measured Star Wars takes. I want to help amplify those takes. So send them to me. Get on the Discord, send them to me in the Discord. We'll do another one of these if we get enough of them. And of course, if something else happens along the production or the show, the airing of Kenobi, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But I've talked about this before, and maybe you guys can help me brainstorm. But I really would like a way to identify a Star Wars fan, because I have to tell you, I hesitate. I hesitate telling people in real life that, like, hey, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, because I do feel like that can mean some things to some people. Maybe not people who are as plugged into the internet as I am, but I feel like that can kind of conjure up some feelings in people, and they can be like, oh boy, you know, because maybe they have heard that Star Wars fans can be racist and misogynist and yada yada because it's in the news, or, you know, they know someone who's like that. So I'm really trying to come up with a good way of saying it. And I want to put it in like my profile. So right now I just have a non-toxic Star Wars fan. And I feel like that's okay, but it's not exactly what I want. Ray enjoyers. I do think that if you're among other Star Wars fans, you can casually drop, when you're talking about the sequels, you can casually drop, hey, so Ray Skywalker, interesting thing, just casually drop it and watch their reaction. If they go, oh, that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell that, nah, you're not that kind of Star Wars fan, you know? That's how you're going to be able to tell. So that's a good one. So I've been in a couple of different communities where it's just like people will just randomly say, yeah, and Ray was a Skywalker. So, you know, and I don't even really like the Rise of Skywalker. I think it's probably the weakest in the new trilogy. I don't like how they retconned everything after they made such a bold move in The Last Jedi. I liked The Last Jedi more than The Rise of Skywalker, especially as time goes on. I like it more, and it makes me sad, the kind of things that they did to that movie. But see, I don't hate it for the reasons other people hate it. So I'll still call her Rey Skywalker because she is. She earned it. She earned it completely. You're not going to believe me, but that's why I tell everyone that I really love Jar Jar. I did like Jar Jar, but telling people that lets them know that I like characters that haters don't. Okay, I mean, I can, yeah. So it makes me makes them more comfortable around me. Okay, I think that's kind of along the same lines as Rey Skywalker too. Yeah. If you meet somebody who's a Star Wars fan, you'll be like, "How about that Rey Skywalker?" and you'll know exactly where you fit. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's be brainstorming. We don't have to figure it out right now. We could actually continue talking about this as we play a game tonight. But yeah, I really want to come up with something that just like lets them know. And I think non-toxic Star Wars fan works. It's just a little clunky. It's about as clunky as Reva's parkour. So. And that's a YouTube video, everybody. thank you for contributing. I appreciate that.